Hello, everyone. We are here to continue on with the movie arc, which I am very much enjoying. What was I say? So there haven't been a whole lot of changes to the main plot of the movie quite yet, and I kind of get the feeling some of you guys might be feeling a little impatient on that. It's coming. I promise it's coming. Have I ever not delivered? Don't answer that. Before we get into the whole behind the scenes for the story, though, we got comments, questions, and concerns to get to, so let's do that.
All right. Silver 4700. Cool chapter, guy.
Hey.
So the entire stair climbing thing was fun and all, and maybe this is just me, but I feel like they would be significantly more tired than was portrayed after going up 80, correct me if I'm wrong, flights of stairs. Meh. Maybe I'm just thinking of Final Fantasy VII Remake and how you go up 55 flights of stairs, and it's freaking hilarious to hear the characters start off strong and then complain and get slower the longer they go up. That section is a true statement to voice acting, let me say. It's a hilarious moment that's worth the 10 minutes of watching. Anyways, I digress.
Actually kind of reminds me of, there's a level in Kid Icarus Uprising where Pit has to climb up this crazy staircase. I don't remember exactly what it is, but like he keeps complaining about it the further on he goes. And it's like the only level in the game where they have like two loading screens because you fly in and then you go up part of it and you have a loading screen and then you go up some more. And they actually like make a meta reference to it, which is one of the reasons I love the game. He's like, this is taking so long. There was a loading screen back there. The goddess that he's working with is like, shut up, we're not supposed to talk about that. So that kind of reminded me of that. But in regards to why they're not as winded yet is because, I watched the movie to get a refresher on this, and like they were kind of winded at this point, but you got to remember, like, they go through some really intense physical training, and they, like, even without their quirks, it's kind of implied that humans have evolved a little bit more to become more resilient. Because take for example, like Bakugo blows someone up. A nitroglycerin bomb going off in someone's face, that's, your face is gone. Like, you're not getting up from that. But in this world, it's like, boom, all right, he's burned, he's pretty roughed up, but he's gonna be okay. That's not how it works in real life.
Anime logic. It's giving me Psyche K vibes. Why is he bleeding so much? Oh, and this time he's fine?
Yep, exactly. But there's the logic in that, if that's what you want to call it.
All right. That was an interesting way to start the makeup between Hikari and Ida, and honestly makes sense. As Spider-Man said, sometimes the best way to learn is under intense, life-threatening pressure.
I love that movie.
Can't wait to see how the two of them develop.
Into the Spider-Verse is like, that's like, that might be my favorite superhero movie, man. That's pretty high up there.
So good. In regards to Akarui, I don't remember small details of the movie, but it seems to be following the current track. Oh, see, this is what I said of how it went. Obviously, we're pretty early on, and I didn't expect big changes to happen immediately, but from how you split Hikari and Akarui up near the end of the chapter, I think things are starting to get real.
Yeah, to be fair, like, there are some small changes, you're right, that things are staying mostly true to the plot of the movie, and that will continue pretty much until the climax, after which the little things that have been building up will pay off in a big way. That I can guarantee. Okay.
Also, I take personal offense that Jen and Barry's was insulted like that as someone who absolutely loves their chocolate brownie ice cream. Oh, Jen and Barry's. Ben and Jerry's. Got it.
Yeah, I thought I'd make a joke. I thought I'd make a joke out of that.
I love Ben and Jerry's, yo. Fish food.
I'm indifferent to the whole thing. I'm sorry.
He bought just like plain old grocery store ice cream with nothing in it. And don't get me wrong, it's nice.
I buy you ice cream? This is what I get?
I have to like put a bunch of extra stuff in it to make it worthwhile.
Don't fix it if it ain't broke.
I have to like add everything that I want because I want fish food. All right.
It's vanilla and chocolate. What more do you want?
No, it's a carton of vanilla and a carton of chocolate.
Yes.
That's the only ice cream he will eat, by the way. Sometimes
Neapolitan has strawberry in it.
Every once in a while, you'll put chocolate chips on it.
That's only if I'm having vanilla. Like, if I'm doing fudge ice cream, like, that kind of defeats the purpose.
This guy's so weird. All right. As one of your regular viewers, I am so very mad at you that if I ever see you in the real world,
I'm gonna take over this part here because I read this. This is an SAO abridged quote. So let's see. I am going to chop off your limbs, rip out your intestines, and ride you like some kind of meat toboggan in the middle of December, gripping your entrails like the reins of Santa's sleigh, streaking through the fresh morning snow on a trail of bile and gore as your eyes beg the same question as the horrified children in your wake. Why? I will also add your screams to my gosh darn Spotify, and I will see your head mounted on a fudging pipe. Dude, no ice cream is that good. No, wait, that's not true. That's not true. Gelato in Italy. I would kill for that. Yeah. That was, oh man, that was good ice cream. That's why I don't care about Ben and Jerry's, man. I've had like the real stuff over in Europe, and now it's just kind of ruined for me.
Rub it in, why don't ya? What happened? I blacked out for a second there. Oh well, I probably didn't say anything out of character. Also, that's a bit of a newer reference, but oh well, crap. Now I'm just embarrassed. Anyways,
I got it.
I can't wait to see what kind of plan you have in store for the next few chapters, and you go on and hope that you don't end up trapped in a VR game with me. Oh, who am I kidding? If I tried to do that, I'd probably be hearing words, "You have failed, Ironcrad." Every time you get that...
I honestly kind of started that as a joke, and then I realized how much it irritated her, so I just kept doing it.
Oh my gosh. See, like, I have to admit, for a while there, Arrow was a guilty pleasure, but it's so bad.
The first couple seasons were decent. After season 3, it just...
really bad.
It's a superhero live action show. It's gonna be full of cheese. What are you...
Okay, moving on. Okay. Anyways, enough of my morbid and dark sense of humor, and as always, good luck on writing your story, dude. Also, my best to Becca. Hey, thanks. Silver.
Well, thanks for your review, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know me, I love my abridged quotes.
Dame dayo.
I think that's new.
Yep, that's new.
Welcome to the story, by the way.
First,
welcome to the story.
First of all, beautiful book, beautiful writing style, equally beautiful characters.
Well,
I think that you've done a great job establishing Kurai and Ida's relationship to the point where they can still make up from their past mistakes. It's a part of Ida we have never seen before, and it's amazing how easily you managed to intertwine it with your fan fiction. If Kurai was part of the anime, that would be spectacular. Oh, that's so nice.
Thank you.
Brilliant
that's
job,
really nice.
Guys. Brilliant. I'm looking forward to the next chapter.
Well, here you go with the next chapter, man. Dude, I'm glad you enjoy the story so much. I hope we keep hearing from you.
Yeah. All right. Guest. Good. They're finally starting to forgive each other. I know, right? Guest. I was hoping that they would have made it up further than this in this chapter.
Made it up further. Oh, okay, so like further up the top. I mean, it seemed
Dude, I was feeling the same way.
What is with all the shade that's being thrown here?
Hey, I'm enjoying it. But then you stopped reading the chapter and I was like... It didn't keep going. Oh, well, whatever. All right, cool, guys. All right, Light Hero Kaiser.
Majin Lightus.
Great chapter, mate. I knew Akarui would have some type of item that let him use his quirk. Just a little bit disappointed that it isn't a solar-powered flashlight. Also, I knew Mina would be more help against the robots. Anyway, keep up the great work. Blade Hero Light signing out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, in this coming chapter, you'll definitely get to see Mina in action against some of the robots.
All right, Fairy Sing Girl. Oh.
This one's a chapter earlier, I think.
Okay.
But okay.
You want me to read it still?
Yeah, it's recent enough.
Okay. Oh geez, Kurai and Ida really need to make up already and become friends again because now they're just being petty. Lol, and Akarui blackmailing Kurai in case he ever catches him and Mina alone together was funny. That was funny how Kurai beat Bakugo's score on that little training area, and naturally Bakugo's furious over it, of course. And now they're all showing up for the party. Well, except for Bakugo and Kirishima, who end up getting lost. Ha! And Akarui's comment on Bakugo and Kirishima not being good with directions was funny.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the chapter.
All right, Joe Clone. I love Akarui even more. He's a little boy genius like Jimmy Neutron.
I haven't seen that show in so long.
I don't think I ever watched that one. Like, I remember it being on TV, but we didn't really have, like, I didn't have to watch a lot of TV.
It's not one that I watched regularly, but every time I was over to a friend's house, somebody had it playing.
Mm-hmm. Happy with Kurai giving some wiggle room between him and Ida. It is a first step. First fight scene time. Kaigo Kaioken. Got it. Shoto, ice them. Bakugo, explode them all.
Someone's excited.
Yeah. All right.
See, it's a first step. I mean, yeah, it's like a fight like that. You're not gonna fix that one overnight. Like, that's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, people gotta heal.
Yeah.
And I think having some joint trauma together can bring them closer.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how life works. All right. Yep. Thanks, Joe Club. All right.
Thank you.
Silly Kita. Many things to love in this chapter. 1, Ida and Hikari are starting to make up, which gives me a good amount of relief. 2, the brothers arguing every step of the way while working together kind of reminds me of the Elric brothers. Yes, that's a very good compliment.
Thank you.
Is that on purpose or just a coincidence?
It's definitely not on it's not on purpose. Like I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that kind of dynamic. Does that line up, do you think?
I can see it. Kurai is way more of a sass master than Alphonse, though. Alphonse is just like...
You mean Akarui is more of a sass master than Alphonse? Because he's the younger brother?
Yeah. Akarui is much more of a sass master than Alphonse.
Yeah, he definitely does a lot more back talking than Alphonse.
Because Alphonse is just... Alphonse has...
He's a giant metal cinnamon roll.
Yeah. Well, he has the perfect, how do you say... Wait, he knows how to push his brother's buttons, but he's just so sweet that you're like, oh, Alphonse.
It's like, okay, I'll let you push my buttons.
Yes. But with Akarui, it's like, oh, bud. Ooh, that was clearly on purpose. Ooh, savage boy. All right. Yes, but nice. Thank you. That's very cool.
I appreciate that. 3,
Ashido and Hikari shamelessly flirting with each other as they head into danger make me laugh, especially when their friends are roped into it. 4, we're about to see Todoroki and Hikari throw down. The cleanup crews on Island are going to be cleaning that mess for weeks. And that's before you even throw Bakugo in the mix. 5, I like the way you're substituting Mina's powers for when Mineta would have been needed for the plot. Very well done, that. Now, I was hoping to see the Hikari brothers actually get to fight alongside one another, but I guess we'll have to wait a little longer to see that. Or at least I assume it's going to happen at some point. I am interested to see how Akarui does with his brother's sword because I assume they've had, at least to some degree, similar martial training.
Yes, they have. Yeah, Kurai, he's older, so he's studied longer. But Akarui has definitely had some martial arts training.
Kids of cops, so
yeah. They learned that self-defense is not an option for them.
Yeah. All right. Akarui doesn't have an offensive type quirk, of course, but something tells me that isn't going to stop him from knowing how to use a lightsaber. We have yet to see any of the major changes of the storyline that you've promised us as of yet, but I get the feeling that it's coming soon, possibly next chapter. I know you'll keep that. The only thing to really guess is when the payload gets delivered. Either way, count me in for what's to come.
Well, all right. That's all of them?
Yep, that's all of them.
All right.
Wait, I think, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, you just have to listen to the next chapter and find out if there's a payload delivered quite yet. Let's see. Oh, I hope you guys enjoy the art piece that I'm going to be putting up for this one because I kind of thought Akarui deserved a piece of his own. So we'll be back here in a few minutes. Go beyond. Bakugo screamed his hatred at one of the villains, a morphing type that had purple skin and incredible bulk that gave him tremendous strength. He peppered the man with explosions, trying to see if there was a way to wear his quirk down, but so far it didn't seem like his efforts were yielding any fruit. The only thing he seemed to be able to do was annoy the brute, which certainly wasn't doing his own temperament any good. Kirishima was currently stuck on a wall, having been knocked into it by the villain fighting Bakugo after jumping to his friend's defense, while Kurai and Todoroki were having difficulty pinning down the other villain. He was a tall, spindly man with ridiculously large webbed hands that seemed to eliminate any ice or energon that the two students sent at him. Worse, he was able to use his quirk at long range, making it impossible for them to stay still, lest they wind up with holes in their abdomens, or with a limb being torn away. Every time he swiped at them, the spot where they had been standing was carved away, leaving a hole in the concrete. What is this guy's quirk? Kurai muttered as he unleashed a barrage of energon at the man, even as Todoroki sent an ice wave at him, all to no effect. That is until the villain made a mistake. As he swept at the oncoming ice, the frozen matter seemed to disappear once more. Only it reappeared this time, falling in between them as large balls around the size of the man's hands. Immediately, both boys knew how his quirk functioned. That's not matter erasure, Kurai announced loud enough for Bakugo to hear. He's displacing it! Todoroki grunted as he slid to a stop beside Kurai, both of them wary of the villain, who had temporarily stalled, apparently feeling cautious now that his quirk had been unveiled. Is that right? The explosive boy muttered as he landed behind them, turning them into a rough triangle that kept their guards up in both directions. Well, if you figured it out, go beat him. We don't have time to keep messing around! With another fiery blast, he launched himself into the air, obscuring the others in a smoke screen. At first, Kurai thought he did it to be a jerk, but then he realized their enemy couldn't see them clearly for the moment. Clever guy, he admitted inwardly. Rush him, he told Todoroki. I need a few seconds. You got it, his friend told him before he charged out of the smoke on an ice sheet. The skinny villain snarled in surprise and immediately focused on trying to hit the ice user. Meanwhile, Bakugo had flung himself even higher into the air, and was now using consecutive explosions to transform himself into a whirling human missile that was on a collision course with the beefy villain. Howitzer! Impact! The resulting blast shook the entire floor, and rendered the villain unconscious, back in his normal, unassuming form. Damn it, you stupid brats! The skinny man shouted, his attacks increasing in ferocity as he drove off Todoroki and then aimed for Bakugo. Before he could attack the more volatile student, however, Kurai shouted, Hey, villain! You forgot something! The tall man turned back to face the other kid, who immediately flung his arms outward, unleashing an orange energon beam that bore down on him with the force of a tidal wave, smashing him all the way across the room and blasting him into unconsciousness when he collided with the wall, and the beam exploded on top of him. A moment later, both villains were trapped in ice, and the young heroes in training were regrouping around Kirishima, who was stuck in the other wall. Everyone okay? Kurai asked. I'm fine. Todoroki nodded. Don't ask about me, Bakugo growled. Good to hear it, Kurai said as he turned to their other friend, then frowned as he noticed one little detail. Dude, why are you still in the wall? I'm stuck, the boy answered, straining to move his rock-like arms but being unable to do so. Can't you guys pull me out? He wants to know why you haven't turned off your quirk, you damn moron, Bakugo snapped. Oh, the redhead said dumbly as he turned off his power and immediately finding it easy to get out of his predicament. Sheepishly he added, Yes, I should have thought of that. Next time use your head, the blonde boy grumbled as he turned away. However, he surprised everyone by stopping for a moment to say, Thank you. Kurai recalled that Kirishima had been put in that situation after taking a hit meant for Bakugo, but it was still a shock to hear him give thanks to anybody. Well, where'd that come from? Kirishima chuckled. Don't worry about it. I'm not worried! Bicker later, we need to catch up with the others, Kurai said as he began to lead the way. He knew that blasting through each set of doors from there on was going to be challenging, even with both him and Bakugo, but he saw no other options. I have to protect Akarui, he thought worriedly. The others can handle themselves, and he's the smartest person I know, but even still. Don't order me around, Bakugo shouted. Hey guys, Kirishima asked as the quartet began to jog at a brisk pace. Time for you to give us some answers. Just as Todoroki opened his mouth to begin explaining the situation, there was a multitude of alarm sounds coming from above, accompanied by small red dome bots that were flashing lights of the same colors. He frowned when Kurai and Bakugo cursed, both of them getting their quirks ready to go at a moment's notice. Security drones, he muttered. Looks like the villains are getting serious. And now I'm seriously pissed off, Kurai snarled, his temper beginning to succumb to the effects of his quirk. That's my line, Saiyaman! Anyone else think this is a little too easy? Jiro asked as the group charged up the stairs to floor 128. Easy, Kaminari panted. You go running up hundreds of floors and stairs and barely making it past the villains easy? No, she's right, Akarui gasped as they headed for floor 129. By all rights, the barriers for the last 40-odd floors should still be closed down by the lockdown procedure. Someone is letting us through. I almost hate to ask why they would do that. Yaoyorozu breathed. They're probably trying to box us in somewhere that would be easy to lay a trap, Midoriya answered. Based on our classmates' fighting abilities, they probably realize that we're Hero Corps students. They won't want to take any chances that we know how to restore the security systems. Whatever the case, we have to keep on going, Ida muttered. We're well past the halfway point, so it's only logical that we press on. There's going to be a problem with that. Akarui wheezed as they came to a stop on floor 130, where a familiar obstruction lay above them. I think we're where they want us. The gate leading to the next floor was locked down tight, preventing their further advance. What's the plan, kid? Kaminari asked him. There's clearly a trap on this floor. Akarui answered tiredly as he moved toward the side door. So we'll spring the trap. Before anyone could protest his plan, he added, even if they know that some of you are heroes in training, they won't know everything about your power sets. Some elements of surprise are on our side. And what, they don't have any surprises for us? Mina asked. Playing into their hands is a bad idea. I can easily melt through this gate so we can avoid whatever they have planned for us on this floor. Worse idea, Akarui replied instantly, irritating the pink girl. Yes, you can melt through this gate quite easily. I don't doubt that. However, I also know that your quirk would begin to cause damage to your body after getting us through no more than 40 floors, at which point we would have 30 more to go. As opposed to fighting through 70 floors of villains, Mina shot back. I find it highly unlikely that we will encounter any more villains until we reach the last 10 floors or so. Akarui replied as he opened the door, holding it so that the crew could pass through. An operation like this one would have to be run by a small elite crew, not an army. My guess is they will now start to deploy the tower's automated defenses against us, instead of fighting us themselves. Ashido, as much as I hate that he is here, Akarui knows what he's about, Ida said as the others began to go through the exit. We'll follow his lead for now. Fine, the girl said through thin lips. As she passed by the younger boy without another word, she heard him mutter, I worry about him too. Looks like Hikari was right about the trap, Midoriya said quietly as he and Jiro looked through the windows of a door that led into some kind of lab. Inside, they could see close to 100 security drones. What do they look like? Akarui asked from behind Ida, who was now taking his own turn to look. Red, cylindrical, Jiro murmured. They move around on little wheels, but it doesn't look like they have any weapons. Ugh, the boy muttered, drawing the worry of his companions. Seeing their alarm, he explained, those sound like the work of Dr. Eric Rush, an engineer who's known for making deceptively compact contraptions. Okay, first of all, I totally thought you were going to say something like Dr. Ivo something or other. Kaminari began. That's racist. Second, are you saying that there's more to those things we can see? The electric boy pressed. They look like big moving cameras. And you look like you should belong on the Quirky Bachelor. But yes, looks are deceiving. Akarui replied blandly, causing Kaminari's face to fall again. To the others, the younger boy said, we need to disrupt their communications and take them out before they get a chance to set off any alarms. Unfortunately, I doubt that an electric quirk like Gold Boy Wonders is going to do anything to these things. Midoriya, Ashido, you two are best suited for swift destruction while Yaoyorozu hits them with a device to scramble their communications. Sure thing. Midoriya nodded as he shed his jacket and rolled up his sleeves, revealing a curious device on his right wrist. At the touch of a button, the bracelet expanded and wound itself upward until a red gauntlet covered his forearm. I'm ready. I could do with something to vent on. Mina growled as she took up a position next to her classmate. Then Miss Yaoyorozu, if you would, Akarui asked. Already done, the girl replied as she tugged on the strap of her dress to expose a little more skin, out of which dropped a handful of what looked like red flares. Pull the caps and throw them into the room, she explained. It will release a specialized dust that carries a slight static charge, enough to disrupt their comms. Fantastic. Akarui grinned as he snatched one up. And here we go. With that, he kicked open the door and hurled the first flare, which instantly began to fill the air with the substance that Yaoyorozu had described. As soon as it touched the red drones, they began to move about uncertainly, colliding with the railing in the room and with each other. Seeing the success that it was having, Akarui called back, Spread them out! We want to affect as many of them as we can! You got it! Uraraka grunted as she hurled two of them, using her quirk to keep them elevated for a longer period, as to more effectively spread the dust. Nice. Akarui nodded, though he noticed that some of the drones were still getting ready to target them, and that they were moving much faster than he would have hoped. Midoriya, Ashido, you're up! All right. The young man nodded as he charged forward, his gloved fist drawing back as it crackled with verdant lightning. Detroit, smash! A blow on par with the strength that he had used to best Kirishima during the sports festival collided with one of the drones, and a gale wind tore through the room, tossing a good chunk of the other robots into the air. From there, gravity did the work to destroy them as soon as they crashed into the ground, the way across the room, mostly clearing the path for the students. Dude! Mina exclaimed, impressed with the level of strength they had just witnessed. Is your arm okay? Yeah, Midoriya grinned as the acidic girl moved to melt a few drones that had avoided the attack. Melissa made me this gauntlet, and it lets me use my full power without hurting myself. That's amazing! Uraraka cheered for her friend. As the others began to praise the blonde girl, Akarui was closely studying the gauntlet that Midoriya had used to avoid injury. Normally, all he would have been able to get out of a brief look would be an idea of the materials used to construct the shell. Now, with his quirk and overdrive, one look was all he needed to ascertain the materials needed not only to build it, but to improve upon the design. He blinked as a sudden wave of nausea assaulted him, and he nearly lost his balance, only saving himself from colliding with the ground by grabbing awkwardly onto the railing. No, he groaned inwardly as vertigo gripped his entrails. No, not right now! Kid? He heard Mina ask as she stopped beside him. Are you okay? We need to keep moving if we don't want to get caught. Jiro says she can hear more drones coming from the east. Yeah, I'm fine. Ugh. He managed to spit out. Ugh. Dude, are you okay? She asked as she forced him to stand. You don't look so good. Just dehydrated, he said as she grabbed his arm to keep him steady. I'm not used to all this exercise and excitement is all. Okay, she said as he began to support his own weight again, though she still seemed uncertain. He gave her a weak grin as he shambled forward, gaining confidence in his step as he forced himself onward. Come on, he told her as the dizziness began to fade away. We don't want to be left behind down here. Silently, he added, Sorry, brother. I can promise the safety of everyone but me now. They had no issues getting to the 138th floor, where the tower's network servers were stored. As they came up to the main room, Mina asked, Anyone think those drones gave up a little too easily? No sooner than she had spoken than did the sound of alarms echo throughout the room, followed by several dozen drones leaping down from higher balconies, with more coming from side halls, all of them with panels popping open to reveal stun and capture-type weapons. The group slid to a stop, Akarui muttering, You had to ask, didn't you? Aw, crap! Kaminari groaned. My quirk is useless against these things! And we can't afford to damage the servers, Melissa warned. They could affect the security of the entire island. Then we delay them, Akarui announced. These things can capture you, but they can't kill. So we need a few of us to keep going while others delay the swarm for as long as we can. A sacrifice play? Ida asked disapprovingly. You got a better idea? Akarui grumbled. This isn't a strategic ambush point. They're just throwing everything that they have at us now, hoping to capture us before we get any further. That tells me the villains are done trying to be clever. Hikari, take Midoriya, take Melissa, and get out of here! Yaoyorozu ordered as she began to construct something out of her back. The rest of us will hold them off. While she spoke, Mina charged right into battle, sliding around at high speed on her acid trails and dissolving the little robots as she went, though she was careful not to damage the server machines. We will? Kaminari asked nervously. But my powers... We'll need some bait, Jiro said with a smile that made him uncomfortable. Yaoyorozu, are you? Just go, Ida told Akarui as he took a running stance. Don't let this be for nothing. Okay, he said as he grabbed Melissa's hand to get her running behind him. Midoriya, Uraraka, come on! Why me? Because I have an idea, now move! The younger boy grunted as he released Melissa and drew his brother's sword, just in time to slash through a drone that had managed to get by their friends. Without any further protest, the two teenagers ran after the child genius, hoping that their friends would be okay. The quartet made their way to the outside, where they found themselves amid several dozen wind turbines that helped to power the building. They went up from many floors, which was what Akarui was hoping for. Okay, this will work, he said as he turned to the others. The enemy is throwing everything that they have at our friends back there. That means they're much less likely to notice the sudden arrival of a handful of students on the top floor. As he spoke, he pointed to a spot near the roof of the tower. If Uraraka uses her quirk to float us three up there, we can bypass the rest of the defenses and get to the control room. Okay, the girl nodded. To the others, she added, You both better hold on tight to him. Are you sure about this? Melissa asked her worriedly. You'll be all by yourself. Don't worry about me. Uraraka answered with a cheery smile as Midoriya used his belt to thread through the hoops on Akarui's pants, effectively tying them together. I'm trained for this, Melissa. I'll be okay. If you're sure, the blonde girl said reluctantly. Come on, Akarui insisted. We need to move. Knowing the urgency of the matter, Melissa walked over to where Midoriya was, where she grabbed onto him from behind so that he could secure her with his own arms. As soon as she had, Uraraka used her quirk to make the three of them weightless, and she gave them a light shove upward, which set them to floating in the correct direction about as fast as a man could jog. They were about halfway up when they heard the sound of metal doors crashing open, drawing their attention back toward Uraraka, who had a startled look on her face. Oh no, Melissa yelped as the drones began to pour out of the doors. Get out of there! Release your quirk! I can't do that! Ochako called back up as she turned to face the approaching enemy forces with a brave face. You three have to make it to the top, no matter what. Also, we will definitely die if she drops us from here, Akarui pointed out. I'm sorry if this is cold, but we have to keep moving. And which one of us are you going to sacrifice next, huh? Midoriya asked angrily, surprising the younger boy. Heroes aren't supposed to run out on their friends. Maybe not, but I'm pretty sure they're supposed to also have faith in them, too, Akarui said as he pointed back at the ground, where there was a sudden series of explosions. Is that? Melissa cried. It's the others! Kachan? Midoriya yelped as he looked back. Todoroki, Hikari! Kirishima, too! Told you to have faith, Akarui grumbled mildly. Sorry we're late, Kirishima called up with a grin. We got Uraraka covered, so you guys just worry about getting to the top. Thanks, sweet. Wah! Midoriya's thanks were cut off as one of the turbines, having been sped up by the heat of Bakugo's explosions, suddenly propelled them off course, causing them to head out to open space, with nothing but the floor level of Eye Island to catch them if they fell. I'm gonna kill Blasting Explode if we survive this, Akarui growled. After defeating a small army of drones on floor 80, Kurai and the others had made their way up to floor 130 by using the villains' ID passes, but the reinforced lockdown had prevented them from going up any higher with that method, so they disembarked and followed the sounds of combat that they could detect from above, eventually coming along to rescue Ida's group from a certain capture, who also explained where the rest of their friends had gone. He and Mina had shared a quick kiss, having been relieved to see each other safe and sound, but their situation allowed for little else. His group decided to press on in order to assist Akarui and the others so that Ida's group would have time to rest before catching up. All this led to them encountering another set of drones that were about to attack Uraraka, which they got to work demolishing. However, Kurai wasn't exactly happy to see his brother dangling high in the sky with nothing but the girl's quirk keeping him safe, and the extended use of his quirk was taking its toll on his mental faculties. Damn it, Akarui! He shouted up at his brother. Way to take a shortcut! Up yours! His sibling shouted back. We're running out of options. Anytime you'd like to help would be great, by the way. Dah! Kurai spat, but he knew what his brother had in mind. Todoroki, I need your help. Leaping high over a robot, he brought his hands to his side, yellow light pooling between them. His eyes shifted their focus from Akarui to one of the large turbines powering the building. I'm on it, the half-and-half boy replied as he tossed aside his jacket, even as Kirishima and Bakugo tore into the swarm of drones. The latter raging with profanities the whole while. When Todoroki had a clear space, he shouted, Make sure to aim as straight as possible. Kurai drew in a deep breath, adjusted his aim slightly, then shouted, Here we go, Kamehameha! The yellow laser blasted forth, destroying the supports on top of one of the middling turbines, causing it to list badly to the left. The same instant, Todoroki unleashed a blast of fire at the still whirling blades, speeding their process greatly and creating a powerful updraft that corrected Midoriya's course. Thanks, Akarui shouted down. Thank us by getting these things to stop attacking us, Kirishima replied. I'll take care of that, Kurai said, a dangerous gleam in his eyes as he faced the biggest cluster of robots. I'm sick of this crap. Hikari, if you push yourself any more, you might... I know what I'm doing! He screamed, his hair blazing orange and his eyes burning blue as he ascended. Holding out his hands in front of them, he then roared, Scattered bullets! A massive beam shot straight out, veered sharply upward to a point above the drones, and then dissolved in countless energon projectiles that rained down on the sentries, destroying them by the dozens and covering the area in smoke and debris. Whoa. Kirishima muttered as Kurai's hair and eyes darkened. Remind me never to get on your bad side. Told you I had it. Kurai let out a sigh and passed out, only avoiding injury because Todoroki caught him up at the last second. His brain quit on him again, Bakugo scowled as he approached. Idiot. He's just unconscious, Todoroki answered. As far as I can tell, that he'd stopped himself just short of having a full aneurysm, but there's no telling how long he'll be down for. Deku and the others made it up okay, Uraraka panted as she jogged over. Thanks for the assist, you guys. No worries, Kirishima replied with a thumbs up and a smile. Bakugo grumbled. We need to regroup with the others, Todoroki said as he stood up with Kurai still unconscious in his grip. Let's hope that Midoriya and Hikari's brother can make it the rest of the way without too much trouble before we catch up. Uraraka, can you help me with him? Yeah. 1 minute ago. Hang on tight, you guys! Midoriya shouted as the wall rushed at them too fast for them to just land and try to enter via an emergency exit. We're going to do this the hard way. Letting the full power of One for All surge into his arm, Midoriya threw his punch the instant before they would have smacked into the concrete. Smash! The entire wall gave in under the force of his might. giving them a clear path into the stairs that led right up to floor 200. Uraraka's gravity negation was then released, dropping them all on the ground. Akarui ended up being the one unfortunate enough to get crushed by 2 people bigger than him. "Get off!" he wheezed. "Sorry," Melissa said as she released Midoriya, who was already untying the belt that was holding the 2 of them together. Before he could finish, though, Melissa let out a scream of alarm, and an unknown instinct told the boys to roll to the right. A metal blade cut into the floor right where their heads had been, and the villain that it belonged to growled in frustration as he turned his hand back to flesh and blood. Midoriya then decided that he was done trying to untie the belt neatly, and used his quirk to snap the leather in 2, freeing him in his movements. But however, he was too late to keep Melissa from getting hurt, as she had interposed herself between the villain and her friends, trembling with fright though she was. There was the sound of a blade slicing flesh, followed by her scream and the subsequent collapse. "Bastard!" Midoriya and Akarui yelled as they each moved in their own way. Deku leaped forward, tackling the villain into the wall and stunning him from the impact, but only for a second. The instant that the man had control over himself again, he swiped at Midoriya with his transformed arm, only failing to cut the student because of the gauntlet on his wrist. It did, however, cause the boy to flinch and stumble back, which gave the villain a slight edge of momentum. What he failed to account for, however, was that Akarui was armed with his brother's photon sword. As the villain laughed and swung his arm blade down at Deku, the boy let out a yell and swung the sword as he activated it, shearing off the man's limb at the elbow and leaving a useless charred stump. At first, everyone stared at the severed middle limb on the ground in collective silence. Then the pain hit, and the villain fell to his knees and screamed in agony, right before Akarui hit him in the face with a sidekick hard enough to render him senseless. After that, the boy turned to the side and vomited, while Midoriya could only look on in stunned silence alongside an equally shocked Melissa. The blonde girl gasped as she clutched at her bleeding arm. The villain's blade had scored a rough wound on her right limb, the same one that he was now missing as a result of Akarui's actions. "Hikari, this guy's crippled for life now," Midoriya said dumbly as the younger boy turned around to face them with a haunted look in his eyes, shutting off his sword as he did so. "I know," he said hoarsely, his throat having been burned by the reflexive acid. "But I'm not a hero, or even a student, remember? I'm just a scared kid who wants this whole nightmare to be over with." His visage was so in contrast with the cold, calculating look that he had been putting on until now that it was almost a surprise to the older teenagers to remember just how much younger than them he really was. That despite his greatly superior instinct, he was still just a child. "Are you going to be okay, Hikari?" Melissa asked as she stood up shakily, Midoriya ripping off one of his sleeves to make a bandage for her. "Given that my father is a sane man who's seen much worse stuff than this, I think I'll get there eventually," the boy answered with a weak grin. "Maybe I'll book a few therapy sessions when this is over." "I'm sorry it came to that," Midoriya apologized. "I'm the hero here. I should have saved you guys." "I think you mean thank you," Akarui replied with another weak grin. "We did save your lives." The green-haired boy began, then stopped himself. "Yeah, thanks, Hikari." So, payload didn't get delivered this time, I know. This chapter, I guess you could technically qualify it as filler content, and admittedly, I did do it somewhat for fan service. People wanted to see Todoroki and Hikari get to fight alongside each other again. That's what I gave. How would Mina do against the robots? Gave you that too. So it was mostly just progressing through the tower, and like I probably could have skipped over this and been like, yeah, this and this happened, but I wanted to give it a little bit more flavor. Because I feel like it was just enough content that it wasn't worth skipping over.
Yeah, I was very surprised that Akarui using his quirk didn't change a whole lot of these events yet.
Yeah, so the in-world explanation for that would be, yeah, these guys definitely could have made it up all the way on their own, but Akarui and Kurai, they didn't know that themselves when they first started out. Akarui just wanted to make sure that everybody had the best chance at making it out alive.
So, I mean, and I guess that speaks to the problem-solving skills that Deku and the others have if they were making the same decisions that Akarui would have.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah. Becoming more intelligent doesn't necessarily mean that Akarui makes better decisions than the next person. And like at the beginning, he did say, he's like, you guys are the ones with the combat training. I'm not.
But he knows if they can use some extra
little bit of extra help,
then they need it.
Yep. And he has helped them out a little bit. But it looks like it's gonna cost him.
Yeah, he's acting kind of weird.
Yep. He yeah, like not well. I don't. Yeah, he's not behaving any differently than he normally does, but he
Man,
did
the
have
way
that.
you read it to me though, like I was like, whoa, something's not right.
Yeah, yeah, something's definitely not right. Very not right. Very very not right.
Yeah.
Um,
And then that little under his breath apology to his brother was a little bit foreboding as well.
yeah. There's a little bit of foreboding and foreshadowing happening in this chapter. I want to say, yeah, like definitely. I'll point this out later on, but I'm definitely alluding to some stuff if you go back and look carefully at the chapter again. So it wasn't all for fan service. I'll say that.
Some little Easter eggs.
Yeah. One of the things that I thought was important. This was just a little moment in the chapter, but there was kind of a bit where some of the others were like, okay, why are we listening to what Akarui is telling us this whole way up? You know, he's it's like, what are we listening to the kid for? And I thought it would be important to like illustrate that Ida's relationship with Akarui does not begin and end with Kurai as the middle ground.
They were also
they were all basically raised together, and I thought it was important that they have a moment where Ida kind of comes up to bat for Akarui. So, again, not totally fan service, but I'm hoping people enjoyed the fan service that was thrown in there. What was I gonna say? One of the other big differences that happens is, so in the movie, that villain that attacks Deku and Melissa, Deku just kind of knocks him out. Akarui, this was kind of, I wanted to illustrate again that like Akarui is not used to this kind of thing. He's not training to be a hero, so he doesn't react the same way they do. He fights, he wallop, there goes the hand, but it freaks him out that he just crippled some dude.
Yeah, he kind of reacts in a panic.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
He's not thinking clearly when he does that. He's not like the others. He's not trained to think in these situations.
He's just trying to be logical. Okay, how can I prevent this guy from hurting us anymore?
Yeah.
And he's not thinking about how, as heroes, they're supposed to be doing it in a way that's causing the least amount of damage.
Yeah. So yes, he's this child. He's this prodigy child genius who's helped them get all the way up this far, but at the end of the day, he is still a child. And I think that's something that a lot of viewers forget when they're watching My Hero, is that it's like Akarui is a child, obviously, but so are the high schoolers, and it's like they're not adults yet. They still react the way that children would. And I think that's a little something that people forget when watching the show or reading the manga. So I kind of thought that it would be important to reinforce that that idea here. I don't know. Did anything else in the chapter stand out to you?
I think that was about it. I liked how you wrote the part with the wind turbines, but I mean, it was very similar. It was basically what happened in the movie.
Yeah,
So.
but Todoroki, like in the original, Bakugo is the one that blasts the turbine. And Todoroki still could have asked him to do that quite easily. But him and Kurai have been becoming friends over the course of the last few months. It's one of those
things where it's a quick situation. You're just gonna ask the person who's closest to you to help, who is able to help.
Yep, the first person that comes to mind.
Yeah.
But again, that's kind of a way to demonstrate it's like this is where they're at in their relation to one another.
Right.
But so
So
I know there wasn't a whole lot.
Fluff.
A little bit, yeah. There wasn't a whole lot that happened differently. It was little things here and there, but next chapter is where we bring the movie arc to a close. There will be an epilogue chapter of sorts after that, but next one is where all the little things that have been building up are going to go down, and it is going to floor some of you. I can guarantee it.
Don't overhype it, bro.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. It's going to happen. All right, maybe I'm tooting my own horn a little bit here, but
he's very humble.
I'm sorry for. Okay, I do apologize. I do apologize for that, but I've been very excited. I've been working toward this for a year. I'm excited. Yeah. Speaking of which, the 1 year anniversary for the story is actually going to be coming up soon. So I will be I'll be releasing a couple of things ahead of schedule. So we're going to do this video. Next video will release on schedule. The epilogue will release on the 1 year anniversary of this story going live on YouTube. And I'll do the same thing with that chapter on fanfiction.net. So look forward to that, and then there will also be another bonus video that I've been working on for you guys that I think you should like. I think that's it for announcements. After that, I'm going to resume the normal schedule again. But yeah, you guys have that to look forward to. You have any closing thoughts?
Duck and cover. That's his diabetic pump. It's not actually
It's not
weird.
no.
That wasn't like a really bad joke. It was just a really bad joke.
I made a worse joke in high school when that first happened. I was in so much trouble.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, thank you guys for coming out to listen to us. I hope you enjoyed the audio chapter, and I hope you are looking forward to hearing the next chapter as much as I'm looking forward to releasing it. Thanks for your continued support. It means a lot to me. You guys are the plus ultra ones out there. I'm out.